in case anybody doesn't know me, I'm Bunny Putnam. My husband Hugh and I were involved in this for about 10 years, and then we moved to Burlington, Colchester, and it's actually nice to be back. And, so I told Theo I would do one more program, and so this is it. You may get tired of listening to me before I'm done, because we are going to talk about several things. Covered bridges, the square, Park Street Bridge, fire stations, the 1882 fire, the 1934 fire, the 1895 school, the Underground Hotel, the Sparrow Block, the hospital, and fairs. So, I'm sorry I have to read it. I was told by a dear friend that presenters don't read. And I said to him, well, presenters this old read because sometimes they have trouble getting words together. So the thing we want to remember, these are pictures from several collections. The collection here, there's some from the library, there's some from, like I said, words. So they come from many places, but and the town was chartered in 1761, but please keep in mind, the camera did not come until 1850, so there's not going to be any really old pictures. So the first thing we're going to do is covered bridges. And the covered bridges we're going to do are the ones that went across the Black River in Springfield, except for the toll bridge. That was the covered bridge. So there was the toll bridge, and there are 4 other bridges. Here's the toll bridge. It was built in 1806. It was always the toll bridge, and as you can see, some of it took more beating than others, so these have been replaced due to log jams, ice jams, all those good things that happen to bridges. So, in 1897, the town became an electric trolley town. Adna Brown, who had built the hotel, led another group that managed to get an electric railway from Charlestown, New Hampshire to downtown Springfield in front of his hotel. So, needless to say, the covered bridge didn't cut the mustard. So this was a bridge that they put up, and it was a toll bridge. And by the way, New Hampshire owns the bridges across the Connecticut River. And they were the ones collecting the toll. Well, as the machine tool business expanded and the machines got heavier, the bridge needed to be replaced again. And so this is the bridge that you see there now. And we're still collecting tolls. Anybody who knows cars probably knows what year this is, but I have no clue. I do remember the man because every time he took a toll, he had a thing he pulled with a thing. So I guess he couldn't steal any money. Now, the next bridge, as you come up the river from the toll bridge, was called White's Bridge. This bridge was located about where the bridge that goes over to the Paddock Road is now. At the time, the Missing Link Road was not finished until 1930. So this was a family by the name of White owned all the land on the far side of the river, so this was a bridge that he used. And then there was kind of a dirt road that went down to Bellas Falls. Otherwise, you had to go up Randall Hill, or you had to go out to Scrabble. So, unfortunately, one of the floods came through, and that was the end of the bridge. the 1927 flood, which you will see more of, probably was what pushed the Missing Link Road on. Missing Link Road goes from Springfield to Bellas Falls. And that caused, I'm assuming that this caused it to hasten a little bit. Now this is Gould's Mills. Is there anybody who doesn't know where Gould's Mills is?
Tell us anyway.
It's where I grew up, okay? You got it? When you're coming up the interstate, you go by, the first set of dams you go by, on the right-hand side, heading towards Springfield. The walking path is right beside it, and there's a dams right there after. That's Gould's Mills. It was settled very early on because for the mill power, and it was Morse's Mills, and then Gould took it and became Gould's Mills. But as you can see, again, it had a covered bridge, and that wasn't going to work for the railroad, so they built a stronger bridge.
That's a train down there in the background, isn't it?
No.
No?
No.
Sure looks like it.
Whoops. This is a shed,
Of the farm, I guess.
and this is just a little outbuilding. I wish I could explain better where it is, because the access road goes up this side of the river now. This is the paddock road, if that helps.
Oh, we're on the other side. Okay.
Right, this is on the east side of the Black River, which is going under the bridge. And it also was very susceptible to the flooding. So they needed a new bridge. Again, either the flood of 27 or the flood of 36, this is the new bridge. And it was taking a toll. You can see the ground was worn away. So this is the bridge that's there now. This is Pearlie Gordon Road. It used to be a dead-end street. The paddock would be way down here, if anybody remembers the paddock.
Yep.
This street now, goes down, around, and then it goes up and hitches on to the access to the interstate. So that bridge needed to be bigger also. And in the middle of town, there was a covered bridge. Now, this is Clinton Street, it goes out here. This is Main Street, coming up to town. And there's this handy dandy little covered bridge. No idea how long it had been there. I suspect pretty soon. This is Mount Vernon Street up here. This is this probably Mineral Street. So here it is again. This is Colonel Williams Cotton and Woolen Mill, and you can see this is the Congregational Church. This is the Town Hall, and this steeple right here is the Universalist Church when it was on Main Street before they tore it down and built their new church. So we had a covered bridge.
And you can see the Methodist church too.
Right, up at the end. And the last bridge over the river was the North Springfield covered bridge. And you would come to North Springfield and you would bear left and go out by the, well, now it goes out to a roundabout. It didn't go straight. You went across the river there, and then you went up like
Meetings?
not Main Street, the one that goes up to the road now. So this is what happened to it. The bridge is gone. Now, the road goes right by here. Actually, I think it goes by this house. And there's the new bridge. So they totally redirected the traffic, took out the covered bridge, built this bridge, and that's how we get to North Springfield and points north on Route 106. The square. Here's the Methodist Church. Here's that brick building at the head of the square. There's where the hotel is here and was all along. And this handy dandy little place, and if you look here, the tree is growing right out of the step. This building was on Mineral Street because there were ladies on Mineral Street who enjoyed the mineral water. Now, I never knew there was mineral water on Mineral Street. I knew there was coal. But some young boys got a man with 4 horses and talked him into moving this little gazebo onto the middle of Main Street. And one 4th of July, it was their prank. The funny thing is, the people loved it. Oh, that's great. It's wonderful. We'll leave it there.
That makes it sound like it was a prank.
It was a prank.
Uh-huh. I
It
like
was a
it.
prank, yeah. The fire hydrant, which is right there.
Not fire.
Well, they were installed in 1879. That may have been what did away with the little gazebo when they had to run water lines down the town. But the trees are still there. And how do you like that telephone pole?
A lot of stuff.
Yeah. We decided maybe we needed to dress it up a little bit. Looked kind of dumpy, so there is a fountain in the middle. And there are benches around the outside.
Due to technical problems, the middle part of Bunny's talk was not recorded. We will continue to use her photos and script notes with an alternate narrator to fill in the missing part. There is a fountain there, and then by 1913 there are 2 fountains. Notice the Chase Memorial Fountain on the right. It's after 1916, and the 3 machine tool businesses were busy, and so was Main Street. The trees and park are gone, but there is a small pad in the center of the square for traffic to go around. A metal post was placed on that cement pad, maybe to make it more visible, but maybe it should be a little bigger? Signs were added, but it still seems rather inadequate. Close quarters, especially during rush hour. Maybe a policeman right in the middle of the street, standing in the middle of the train tracks, will help. Train service to the Adna Brown Hotel did not stop until 1946. Clear out the middle of the square, put in traffic lights and a police booth to keep things running smooth. The left photo was taken after 1960. And here we are today. The Chase Fountain, a memorial without a home. The Chase Fountain has moved around town like a decorating accessory. It is dedicated to Dr. Leonard Chase, who lived from 1797 to 1883, and his wife and father. The family moved to Detroit, but he loved Springfield, and he returned yearly as long as he could. He was an eminent physician, as well as being involved in the schools, the library, and organizing 2 banks. Following his death, his family had this very impressive 13-foot granite memorial crafted in his memory and donated it to the town in 1913. Take a closer look at it. It was designed to be useful. It provided drinking water for people, horses, and small animals. Sadly, most likely, relatives out in the Midwest have no idea that there is a monument to their ancestor here in Springfield, Vermont. 6 bridges, 1 waterfall. Originally, trees were felled on either side of the falls and then dragged into place. These were replaced on a rotating basis. After 20 or so years, it was time to replace that bridge with a new wooden bridge. Notice the underpinning. This bridge was said to last about 30 years. This picture was taken after 1850. In 1867, it was time for a new bridge, and a strong iron bridge was the choice. Unfortunately, this stylish bridge did not last a year. It was completed in 1868, the year of the big flood. This bridge and many other structures on the river were totally washed away. Quickly, another wooden bridge was put in place while plans were drawn up for the replacement bridge. This would take about 4 years. Notice the underpinning. Another iron bridge with more substantial underpinning. This bridge lasted 43 years. In 1915, it was decided that iron was weakening and it needed to be replaced. Meanwhile, a wooden footbridge was built so the children on the east side of town could get to the school on Park Street Hill. Wrigley's Chewing Gum advertises, "Chew it after every meal." "Where Are My Children" was an advertisement for a movie about abortion. Iron was out and cement was in. You can see the supply list. This was not like pulling 4 or 5 massive pine trees over the waterfall. This was major construction. This bridge that you are driving over every day is 108 years old. It has had a couple of facelifts, but is still doing the job. The fire station, it got around. In 1848, the Torrent No. 3 steam pumper was purchased, and the fire station was located next to the Park Street Bridge. W.W.H. Slack, for whom the fire station is named, donated this fine hose carriage. Interestingly, the more fires you had, the more leather fire buckets you were issued. After the fire on Upper Main Street, we will get to that later, this building was built specifically as a fire station, and the department moved to the head of the square. In 1939, the basement of the town hall was remodeled to accommodate the fire station. It was felt this was a safer location than the head of the square. The fire station's last move was in 1976 to Hartness Avenue, where it is today. Main Street Fire, Upper West Side, 1882. Springfield was a fairly typical horse and buggy village with a dirt main street, mostly with local shops. This shows the area that was burned in 1882 and the buildings that replaced that area. This shows the area after the fire. This is a list of what was lost in the fire. There were 4 homes and 4 businesses. The first building to be erected in the burned-out space was built in 1889 by Asel Fairbanks, who was 83 years old. It was later bought by the Oddfellows. Right next to the Fairbanks IOOF building is the building that Adna Brown had moved across the street in 1891 to make room for his new hotel. This building would later be remodeled as the Bakery Building and was recently torn down. Notice the small cafe attached to the left side of the building and the driveway on the right leading to the building behind. Here are the 2 buildings side by side after the hotel was built across the street. You can see the light-colored area going across Main Street, where the Valley Street Brook flows under the street and empties into the river between those 2 buildings. The town built a new fire station in the third space. It was later remodeled into a furniture store, among other things. The last building in the space was also remodeled. It was called the Putnam Building, no relation to Hugh and Bunny Putnam. More urban renewal. The Pingree Styles Fire, Main Street, 1934. This was one of the older buildings in town, originally known as the Pingree Building, but it was called the Styles Building at the time of the fire. Notice the arches around the windows at the top right. This is where the building was located. This could have been disastrous. Only 5 feet from the Fairbanks IOOF building on the right, and on the other side was the new Wheelers building, which today is the H&R Block. The fire was discovered at 2:15 a.m. on February 3rd, and the temperature was -10 degrees. Trying to save the 2 buildings on either side was an ordeal, but because it was so cold, the North Springfield Fire Department could go out on the river ice and fight it from behind. Again, many businesses were lost.
Wheelers is the only building left on that side of the street that didn't burn. But it had just been, the original building that you have seen in other pictures had been torn down in 1932, and this building was built. So right there, we've got, they're trying to save the Oddfellows building, they're trying to save the Wheelers store. And that's where it is now. H&R Block, the W.T. Grant store, which has had so many different businesses in it since. Just too many to list. I worked there when I was a junior in high school. And the Oddfellows building, and of course, the next building, the bakery building, is gone. Now, the 1895 school building, the seminary in Park Street. The Methodists had their Wesleyan seminary. It was at the top of Park Street Hill, on the corner of Park Street and Prospect Street. Now, you know where that is, Prospect. It's the first street. When you get to the top of the hill, it's the first right, and goes right back down behind Fellows Kirche. So, they had, the Methodists were using it, but they also allowed the school to hold high school classes in it. From 1847 to 1866, it was known as the Methodist Wesleyan Seminary, and high school classes were held there. Then, in 1867, when the seminary was closed and the Methodists moved somewhere else, they sold it to the town, and classes continued there until 1895. There were several small schools around town, and the village thought it was time to consolidate all the village schools. So they built this building. It was called Commodious, much too large for the town's needs. The first floor had 6 classrooms, 4 wardrobes, 4 teachers' rooms. The second floor had the high school room with, I always pronounce it, reciting rooms. I can't pronounce it.
Reciting?
Recitation.
Recitation, right. I said it right at home. 2 wardrobes, 3 teachers' room, a large music room, and 2 rooms for grammar schools. So we got a high school room and 2 school rooms for grammar kids. The third floor, where those arched windows are, had a gymnasium, a lavatory, another reciting room, and a storage room. The basement had rooms and closets for all grades. Now, I'm thinking closets meant bathrooms, because when we were trying to decide where to move this building to, we went and looked at East School, and all of the bathrooms were in the basement. So I think that's what the lavatories were, or the closets were for all the grades. No mention has ever been made of the tower. And any of you who went to high school there, you might remember in the old wooden building, there is a very steep set of stairs that went nowhere.
Yeah, that's true.
And I always wondered about them. And maybe it went up there, I don't know, maybe they took naughty kids up there. Who knows?
What were the years that high school was?
1895.
And not today, they don't use it anymore.
No,
It's still there.
I
it's
know.
still there. Well, it is being used, but it's not a school.
Okay.
I was told by somebody that they put the younger kids in there for a while, and they said, well, it's not a good place for them because the steps are too steep and the doors are too heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? As far as I know, they make steps the same size everywhere. So that was 1895. That was also the same year the library was built. So, by 1911, 16 years later, this very commodious school was running out of room. And after much discussion, it was decided a new 6-room school would be built next to the 1895 school. Now, a lot of people thought that was the current school because it looks like the current school to a point. The giveaway is there's a tower. The town had been closing one-room schoolhouses, and in 1911, the school was becoming crowded. It served the students until 1829, when it was once again determined that something had to be done. As was often done in those days, they picked up this brick building and moved it behind the original 1895 building and started building the current building that is up there now. Unfortunately, this building burned down in 1944, and it is thought that it was probably due to overtaxing the electricity system because it was built in 1911. Electricity really only came to town in the late 1800s, and you can envision a single light bulb with all sorts of extension cords trying to light whatever was necessary, and that is what they said caused the fire. So that was one step forward, 2 steps back. And here's the current. Now you can see the difference in the building, that indeed that is a new building. The front of the new addition looks similar to the 1911 building. This new structure adds several classrooms, the cafeteria, auditorium, and gymnasium to the building. Too bad the 1911 building burned down. This building continued as a high school until the new high school was built out on South Street, and I think that was in the 80s. My kids went there. It was a nice school to go to.
And then it had a fire.
Yes. It's amazing what you learn about construction when you have a fire and find out they didn't do what they were supposed to. Hotels on Main Street. The Black River Hotel, the Springfield House, same building, different name, and the Admiral Brown Hotel. The hotels on Main Street were located right tight against the street. All 3, so to speak. The first hotel on Main Street was built about 1800. Don't know if it was a smaller version of this building. This is the only picture of the Black River Hotel You can see the sign under the flag, it says Black River Hotel. On the second floor, these are recruits heading off to the Civil War. This is the same building, but much later. In 1867, the building was purchased by George O'Henry, and that may have been when the name was changed to the Springfield House, and the house is down lower.
What's that sign say?
Hotel stable.
Wood stable?
Hotel stable.
table.
Hotel Stables, Springfield House, and I went out over here, and there were, when I read the various history books, they talked about the houses, the rooms over this part, because they were stables, didn't smell real nice. This is the building that was moved across the street. So Abner Brown was gonna tear down the hotel, the building next to it, and they moved this building over across the street. And you can see it's over, on the right-hand side, it has had its facelift. And it's next to the Oddfellows building. And between the two buildings, there's a little fence. Valley Street Brook goes under the road there and comes out on that side and then comes out under the hotel, under the Oddfellows building. And there is another picture way back where they had a flood and the whole street is torn up. So then they went in and put in bigger culverts so it wouldn't wash the street away again. So Abner Brown built his hotel. Completed in 1892, the Abner Brown Hotel had all the modern conveniences: electricity, central heat, and indoor plumbing. It was advertised as, quote, the most modern hotel in the state, unquote.
It was on advertising.
And we still have our lovely trees and our picket fence. But what good was a fine hotel if you could only get there by a dusty horse and buggy? Abner Brown was also instrumental in bringing the electric trolley from the Charlestown railroad station right up Main Street to the hotel in 1897. And there was a big discussion because all the trains, most of the trains back then were these big steam trains with all the smoke coming out, and people said, no, we don't want one of those. So somehow they decided that an electric trolley would be fine. And one year, I think it was 1913, and I took it out because I thought I was getting too long. But these two windows, there was a wedding. The wedding took place in this window, and the luncheon for the bride and groom, best man and best lady, and the minister was in the other window. And the crowd filled the whole street, all the way across the street. It was quite an affair, but the Brattleboro Reformer newspaper thought that was very bad taste. And, the merchants shouldn't have been, peddling weddings. It was in the winter. Okay, so we're not done with the fires. January 1st, 1961. My husband and I were at the Congregational Church. The fire station was across the street. And we're like, something's burning. And then clang, 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 clang. And you could hear them come out and go. And then they stopped. And of course, we didn't know where they stopped. So the minister, knowing he'd lost his audience, said, I think we should cut this short now. And he did the benediction and everybody left, and this is what we found. And of course, the Ellis Theater over on the right, they had just renovated the old Avon Theater hugely.
Wow.
And it had opened on December 15th.
Say, Bunny,
Yeah.
listen to what Estelle just said.
What?
The guy in the white fireman's hat
Yeah.
is Mylan Moxie Jordan, my father.
Okay, right here.
Oh. How about that?
That's neat.
He couldn't do anything, so he just stood and watched it.
Of course, we still have the police booth. But needless to say, the Ellises were sitting on pins and needles wondering if their recent renovation job was gonna go up in flames.
Yeah, and all the people that came for that weekend were off skiing.
Right.
No, till I got back.
There were no injuries, because people were there to go skiing. And Puggy Lamphere tells me, the fire started at the back of the hotel in a trash can.
Yeah.
And he said the problem was they hadn't quite figured out the science of fighting a fire. So they went out behind, here's the trash can, they went out behind and they took the hose and they sprayed it at the ash can, which drove the fire through the building. And of course, it was a building that had been built who knows how long ago. Oh, no, this one wasn't, but yeah, no,
Yeah, but
it had been,
built on a different side.
it had been built in 1892. So you see the people up on the wheel roof?
Yeah.
Any other comments? I mean, don't hesitate to speak up.
I am council, sorry.
I have nothing more.
Oh.
When it was done, there was not much left. And there were businesses that were lost.
The theater didn't get hurt, they were newly
No, the
renovated.
theater did not get hurt.
Wow.
They were very relieved. Because it was like state of the art at that point, you know, it was the latest and greatest in 1960 movie theaters. And that's what's there now. A&P built that building. There was an A&P store there for a while. And now the co-op is in it, and they, in the fountain is
It's right to the left.
way over here, off the,
Right.
that beautiful fountain. The Sparrow Block. The Sparrow Block had 3 names: the Tenine, the Commonwealth, and the Sparrow Block. Now, Tenine was an interesting name for it because Tenine is a legal phrase, and it means that the last survivor gets everything. So, let's say you've got a small business and dad's running it, he passes away. Oldest son gets it. He passes away, the youngest son gets it. If the oldest son's wife had worked her buns off to keep it going, well, too bad, lady, you have nothing. Because I'm the next one in line and I get everything. So, they think there must have been an insurance company in the building, and that's how it got the name Tenine. So this is what it looked like way back when. It is said that Isaac Fisher, the one with the toll bench and the one that built the road up to town, his house was here in this place. Now, there are no pictures, drawings, so I don't know if maybe it was part of this, like a couple of floors, and then they added on because that's all they did. But this is what it looked like. At this point, there's a grocery store in it. And Here it's being called the Commonwealth Building. And speaking of fires, Dreamland was the first movie theater in Springfield, right here. And you went in from up here. Later, the Ideal was down here, and I remember those stairs. They used it, because the film was so flammable, they enclosed the film room. So if there was a fire, it couldn't get out, except their fire was outside of the film room, and they had a fire, quite a fire. Now you can see the top has been expanded. And Mr. Sparrow said he needed to do renovations, and he said to the Commonwealth Club, if you'll rent the top rooms, I will renovate the whole top, and I will name the building the Commonwealth Building. And they said, sure. They decided that maybe 2 years down the road that it wasn't going to work out for them, and they left. So then it became known as the Sparrow Block. He just put his own name on the building. But you can see what's left of the building, I think, is right there. All of this other stuff is gone. The Ideal Theater was big enough that they could have plays. And this is the stage for Little Women. And if you look in that room, you will see these pictures. And here's what's there now. See, there's, 5 windows left on the side?
Right.
And that's where the movie theater was. Now, Springfield Hospital, that's another interesting story. Originally, medicine was done in the doctor's office. There was no such thing as a hospital. At one point, there was a place called Miss Shattuck's Hospital. It was on Pine Street. Can't figure out where it was. And what she did is she did kind of like convalescing and things like that, where people needed somebody to watch them and you didn't hire somebody to come into your house. And there is a notation that there was some surgery done and he died. After that, Miss Shattuck's Hospital closed. So apparently it had been useful because they decided that we need a hospital. It was time for a hospital, and the Brotherhood Bible class of the Methodist Church initiated the project at a meeting on June 29, 1913. The Hospital Aid Society was formed in July, and the hospital was incorporated in September. Not feeling they had time to build a structure, they went looking for a suitable building. They rented a home on Mount Vernon Street for $25 a month with the option to buy for $3,000. It was a 3-story building with 10 rooms and 2 baths, lighted with gas. They took possession on January 14th, and the first patient was admitted in February 1915. By 1917, they had an overcrowding problem. Finding a new location was settled when Henry J. Whitcomb, originally from town, gave his summer house and 6 acres of land to be used for the new hospital on Ridgewood Road. I remember the dark buildings off to the side, which they would supposedly were using for nurses' quarters, but they built the hospital. The new hospital
with a 32-bed capacity. Went under construction on June 1920. It was officially opened on June 30th, 1922, and by November 15th, guess what? All the beds were full. Already not big enough. And of course, this is what we have now. The plaza has an interesting story. You know, was this really an ideal location? This is a Bursky house. You see, it's where the Chester Road Bridge is in Riverside. It was where the plaza is. That was all well and fine, except sometimes in the spring, it looked like this. So,
Those are ice skates.
I guess they just said, well, we'll deal with it. The water was rechanneled, and here we have two of the stores. It looks like there's still water over in this section, so it might be a while before the bowling alley and the Rexall drug and the supermarket would be built. But it was an impressive shopping center for a little town like Springfield. When it was done, there was a Grand Union, Rexall Drugs, Idelmont, Ritz, Aubuchon's, First National Bank, Young's, Sears, and a Green Stamp Store, and that's where I got my steak dimes. It was good shopping, yeah. You didn't have to go to Claremont. People came and went, Brits left, and we got a name, a bit of a drop down. Across the parking lot, we got a grocery store, the restaurant, the gas light, and the bowling lanes. And here it is in 2019. And this talk was advertised about the Ice House. The Ice House pictures, when I went back and looked at them, were not very good. This is where the Ice House was. This is McDonald's. And the Ice House was back here. And there was a chain of little cabins that went up a road and went on to the Chester Road. And they were built during the war for people who came to work in the shops. And the reason the Ice House was there is because they used to cut ice out of the river, right here. And they would have horses, and they'd go and they'd saw big cubes of ice, and they would run them up into the Ice House, and of course cover them with straw and whatever. They did that until 1927, and then I guess the nature of the river before the bridge changed, and that was the end of cutting ice there. But you know, farmers would have ice houses, and this was the ice house for people who had ice boxes. I remember one of our neighbors having an ice box. The Iceman would come and he'd drop all sorts of ice chips, and all the kids in the neighborhood would go and pick up the ice chips. So, let's have some fun. Early fairs at Riverside. There was always a midway, and in the midway, I think that is the floral booth. They had floral displays, produce displays, animal displays, and contests. Hugh's great-grandfather, my husband's great-grandfather, used to go neck and neck with one other fellow in town, I can't remember his name, for who grew the biggest whatever. There were games and food and anything you would expect. Now this is about 1906. So everybody's coming on a horse or in a horse and wagon. They used to build a temporary bridge from where McDonald's is across the river to Riverside in the summertime so people could get across, because the Chester Road Bridge was not built until 1930. So they had this little bridge. So and people could get by. There's the grandstand. This is the hill by Riverside School. And you can see the midways up above and all the people. And here's one of the horse races. You see them coming down the track. And look at the big tower for the people to.
And there they go.
And there was probably a little betting going on.
And there
And hot air balloons. Now, this has me a little confused. This obviously is the hot air. And the parachutists. Now, I'm not sure whether you could go up in the air and they'd let you out and parachute. The only thing I read about parachutists is I got the impression that the guy went up in the balloon and it floated around. And one time he jumped out with his parachute and he landed in the trees by the high school, the old high school. I also read that somebody got their foot caught when this was going up and started to go up with it. And then there was fun for everybody. The men had a tug of war, and you're gonna love this, ladies. The ladies played volleyball in their long dresses and skirts. And you see the ball way up high, they're all looking up. Somebody really hit it. And then there was the wooden slide for the children. I hope they put something on it. But they're all lined up, so it couldn't have been too bad. You see the lady in the long dress?
Yes, and the hat.
And the kids in the little.
And the parasol, that was so much simpler.
And if the kids got tired, they also had a free nursery for tired children. I hope they had more than 2 beds.
That was hot in there.
And on hot summer days, you want to go swimming. The kids want to go swimming. So, the Valley Street Pool was built. 1938, the town purchased 2¼ acres on Valley Street Brook. The brook was dammed up and made into a naturally fed pool, 200 feet long, 50 feet wide. It was a very busy place in the summer, and I also have a picture of Paul Petraska, but I didn't put it in the pool.
When was that built?
1938.
Okay. And how long was it used?
The new swimming pool was built in 1953. And they just took the dam out, I understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then, we got modern. In 1946, people were becoming concerned about the river and water and brook water. Polio was becoming an issue in the late 40s and early 50s. The town people talked about a new swimming pool. It took until March of 1953 to agree to build a new pool at Riverside at the cost of $81,400. It was 60 feet wide and 120 feet long. The new pool opened July 25th, 1953. Or, if you weren't worried about the water, you could go jump in the river. And yes, those boys are all nude. And this picture comes from the Harlan Glass slides,
You're kidding.
Wow,
the very oldest pictures we have.
wow. Is that you, Paul?
And that's it.
You did a great job.
Yeah.
Really did.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions about? If you want to learn about Springfield history, the way to do it, because I knew nothing about it when I join here.
Valley Street, where
And you need to read Hubbard and Dart's, they have them here, Hubbard and Dart's History of Springfield, which goes up to 1895. And then Keith Barney's book, which starts, it covers some of that and then it goes on to 1963. And it is fascinating. It is really easy reading. I was surprised. And there's so much to read. I mean, I'm sitting there saying, okay, I had things I took out because I figured you'd be here until next week. There are all sorts of subjects.
Yeah.
And I love doing it. But I'm not gonna learn Colchester history.
It is interesting looking in the things in the archives.
So if you have any questions, and I really encourage anybody that I think you will, people who are here know it. They need volunteers here. This thing does not run itself. And if you go around to other historical societies, people have told me, and have friends, Carol and Dave, have friends over in Grantham, and they come over here and they just can't believe it.
That's right.
And you go down anywhere, and this is such a great, but it doesn't run itself. It needs the volunteers.
Thank you all for coming today. We really appreciate it.
Today, it is my great honor to recognize someone whose name has become synonymous with the Springfield Art and Historical Society, Bunny Putnam. For more than a decade, Bunny has been the heart, mind, and driving force behind this organization. Your leadership as president not only guided us through years of growth and change, but has also endured that our mission to preserve, celebrate, and share the art and history of Springfield remains strong and vibrant. Under Bunny's leadership, the society flourished. She strengthened our connection with the community, expanded our collections, and built a foundation of sustainability and vision that continues to guide us today. Her thoughtful stewardship, her attention to detail, and her tireless energy inspired every one of us who had the privilege to work alongside her. And of course, she was never alone in this effort. Her husband, Hugh Putnam, shared her passion and commitment, offering his support and wisdom every step of the way. Together, Bunny and Hugh have left a mark on this organization that will not erase a legacy of care, dedication, and love for Springfield's heritage. It is only fitting that today we officially name Bunny Putnam as an honorary board member emerita, a title that reflects the lasting respect, admiration, and gratitude we feel for her years of service. And in recognition of the immeasurable contributions that Bunny and Hugh have made, we are deeply proud to dedicate the Springfield Art and Historical Society Archive Room in their honor. From this day forward, that space will safeguard the stories, photographs, and artifacts of our town's history will bear their names, a testament to their unwavering belief in the power of preserving our past and future generations. Bunny, your leadership, your generosity, and your spirit have shaped this organization in ways that will endure for decades to come. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, the membership, and the entire Springfield community, thank you for everything that you've done and continue to do. Please join me in celebrating Bunny and Hugh Putnam, whose legacy will live on within these walls. I have a certificate for you, Bunny, when